Thanks for joining us. I'm Jason Zimmerman. Cleanup continues in northern Door County, where trees and power lines came down during a storm Saturday that brought heavy rain and strong winds to the Sister Bay area, causing damage. In a First Alert update, Jamal James shows us some of the recovery effort.
For many people Sunday morning in Door County, scenes like this were almost everywhere.
We've lived up here for quite a while, and we get windstorms that knock trees onto power lines and knock power out, but never to this extent.
After the severe storms that passed through the state Saturday night, people checking out the aftermath the next day saw lots of property damage. But at least there was still a bright side.
Relief that nobody got hurt. Relief that it can be replaced. Yeah, relief.
Chris Weidenbacher taking me deeper into Bailey's Harbor to his friend Terry Connolly's house, where 2 trees lay on his home and debris knocking off part of his roof, damaging the electrical box and being one of the thousands without power.
Trees landed on our cars, they landed on different parts of the house, they blocked the driveway, they were blocking the roads. I mean, it was pretty devastating.
One place hit the hardest is Cana Island Light Station, with roughly 20 people there Saturday night, and Connolly seeing the situation on Facebook. That family being one of many to bring over snacks and food for the people stuck here on this island because they were here for hours with no way to leave. This being just one example of the community helping each other out.
I don't own a chainsaw, but I heard one in our driveway, and I opened the front door, and there was our neighbor with a big chainsaw cutting up the biggest trees to get them off the driveway.
It's gonna take some time to get things back to normal with local companies having so much on their plate, but they say they'll be just fine knowing the community has each other's back. In Door County, Jamal James, Action 2 News.